My name is Marshall Shore, and I am your host, as well as my amazing co-host. Hello, Bev. How are you?
Hello. I'm excellent. I'm doing great. How are you today?
I am delightful. A full day of so much fun. What a great way to start the day off is chatting with you. And oh my gosh, we have an amazing guest on. But
I
first off,
know.
I
I
do want
know.
to let's do some housekeeping. So this is the Arizona LGBTQ plus story time community history. Now it is brought to you with support from the Phoenix Office of Arts and Culture, as well as South Mountain Storytelling Institute. So we thank them so much for their support to bring this to you all. And it's also brought through the Arizona LGBT plus History Project, which is a collaboration between Phoenix Pride and ASU libraries and myself as we start talking about how do we start capturing our own history. And we has their first newsletters by and for the queer community in the mid 70s. And so just trying to capture as much of that oral history as we can. And, I just did a presentation and we were talking about the very first female impersonator in Arizona, dates back
Beautiful.
to 1894. William Gauze down in Tombstone at Shiflin Hall, which is still there. So, which I think is pretty cool. But, I'm so
Nice.
excited that we get to start our morning talking about female impersonators. And oh my gosh, I'm going to bring on Franzia.
Yes.
Hello, good morning, happy Pride.
Indeed,
Hi.
pride.
Hi. How are you?
I am terrific. How are you doing, Doctor?
I'm doing great. It is so good to see you.
You
I'm
as well. You as
excited.
well.
And you have 100% my full attention. I can't wait to hear all
Yes,
the wonderful
yes,
things
I
you
love
have to
that.
say.
I love that.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, Franzia, for folks that may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Anthony Dean. I also go by the stage name of Franzia Mckenzie. I am your current Miss Gay Arizona America. I'm going to be stepping down from that title here on June 30th at Tempe Center of the Arts, so at the very last day of Pride. I have been doing the art of female impersonation now for 7 years, and it has been nothing but rewarding to me, both in and out of drag, to be completely honest to you. So,
Wow,
Wow.
I don't really know much about the pageant system, so I'm
okay.
intrigued to kind of learn about the pageants because I know seems to be so many pageants going on, and and what I love about it is it's such a community. And so tell us
Mhm.
a little bit about kind of what is the process in a pageant?
So well, first to touch on, there definitely is the inclusivity and the overall appreciation to have a platform in the pageant field has been definitely something that has evolved, is continuing to evolve today, and every day for that matter, a space for everyone in every art form, which is so rewarding and so refreshing, is you don't just have to be a certain type of individual or entertainer to participate in pageantry as a whole. There's just different systems and different programs that are made appease to what you're trying to accomplish. For the America system, which is the system that I competed for, so Arizona America, which also then has your national level, it consists of categories. Your first category is going to be interview, so that's going to be your personal interview. That's where the judges will get a chance to really meet you and find out what makes you tick. The thing I love about this category is it's the transparency category. You're having to be vulnerable. And I absolutely love this one for that simple fact of let me tell you about Anthony and how Fran came from Anthony, if
Right.
you will. And I find that that category is so important because that's you learn more about yourself when you do that one and you don't even realize it. Because whenever that category has been done for me or accomplished for me, I always look back at it's almost like your resume. Be proud of it. It's your verbal resume. You look back at where you started and how you overcame it. So that's going to be your very first category.
So for interview, what do you wear?
Oh, so interview. Now, here's the thing. It is personal interview. However, you have to. So, for instance, again, in the America system, you have to realize your job as the next Miss Gay Arizona or Miss Gay America, if you will. It is a job. You're applying for a position. So it's important that you dress for the position
Okay.
you want, not the one you have. Now, it's almost a respect thing. Do I say you have to wear a three-piece suit and it has to be Armani? No. However, you want to make sure that you're respecting those before you who have made this their position and their job to be able to for us to have a space today. So I personally would recommend I've made the mistake in the past of making it a little too casual of an approach. However, it was reassuring to me to realize the reason as to why we do dress professionally for that category is because it's respect, and it's also to put our best foot forward as to how we will be leading into this reign. So I would say definitely professionally.
Okay. So you've got the interview. So I'm assuming you've got a panel of judges that are probably furiously writing as you're talking.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and that's definitely, you're going to see that throughout your entire time competing for anything, any pageant system, is when you see them writing something down. You want to know what they're writing down, of course. So, but you're constantly going to be trying to okay, but don't get in your head about that and don't think too much about it, because they will be giving you these cards for you to go back on, those critiques. So just take it with a grain of salt and build from it.
So, okay. So, I guess, do you find out what they're writing?
Yes. So you do find out what they are writing. That'll be with your critiques at the end of the pageant. You will be given these critiques for you to build off of. I have never taken critiques as a negative. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do that. However, if you feel you don't have room to grow, why are you doing what you're doing? There's always going to be, there's always going to be somebody smarter, somebody prettier, somebody more articulate, skinnier, bigger, a better dancer. You're funnier. You're always going to have somebody better, but there's only going to be one you. And that's the biggest thing, is I use those critiques as building myself up, building me to being the best me, because when you win, it makes it all that much greater by not changing that and staying authentic.
Nice. Very nice.
All right. So from interview, what is the next action?
So your next action, so for Arizona, for instance, interviews will be taking place on Saturday and the pageant will be taking place on Sunday. Now, a lot of times interview is done that same day as the pageant. So you have to be able to switch gears really quick. If you are the type of person that it's going to take you longer to paint, you need to be able to go right into it and start getting ready for your next category. Like, you need to start preparing run-throughs, anything of that nature, to really maximize your time. I mean, the biggest thing is if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. So really utilizing your time, whether it be 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, or an entire day, start setting yourself up for your next category. So your next category is either going to be talent or it's going to be evening gown and onstage question. Now, they do filter back and forth. There is no formality as to this is the order it goes and this is the order it goes. However, I am going to dive right into the talent category, because usually every time I've competed, it's gone right into talent after that. So when you come back, they'll do a roll call, of course, of all contestants, because again, in the America system, punctuality is extremely important. You need to make sure that you are being punctual when you are crowned or a title holder for any system of that matter. I feel if late is on time is on time. Like, you cannot, you have to be early for everything. You have to be prepared. So I love that. So we'll dive right into the talent category. Now, talent category is going to be your heaviest weighed category, meaning each categories have a different score value overall. However, you want talent, visualize, I've told my contestants this year, visualize the judges on that panel have now multiplied by 3. Now you have 15 judges watching you instead of just 5. So that makes it a little bit easier. I am not a math person by any means, doctor. So we're just going to go ahead and put that there. However, it's easier for me to then realize, okay, there are several more judges on that panel. However, when you go into your talent category, this is your opportunity to show your creative performance. Now, there have been those who have done live singing. You can display if you can play a flute, violin, cello, trumpet, drum set, anything of that nature. My personal talents that I can really commit to is comedy. So I really like doing like a comedic performance because it's the universal language of all. I hold that near and dear. I want to make those forget about anything negative in their life and not missing a chance to laugh. So talent category has always been one that I've always tried to have fun with and really committing into that. However, there's no rhyme or reason or no right from wrong as to what you are feeling or portraying in that category. It's your entertainment factor. So it's, for lack of a better term, it's the are you bookable? And they need to be seeing as judges, is this going to be able to be captivating enough as an entertainer to bring on more individuals to our system? So that's going to be that category, which is talent.
Wow.
Oh, so with someone like me and her like Catch a Rising Star, that's one of the things I love about that is it really focuses on that talent and like you're talking that diversity of everything from burlesque to live singing. I mean, the range is really kind of incredible, and seeing that nurturing going on.
I love that too. I had the privilege of being one of the judges for the finale this last year, and it was so amazing to see such vast different performances. However, being embracing how different everyone was in that category of what is an appropriate talent. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say I haven't heard in my career, you shouldn't do this and you should do this and you shouldn't do that. There is nothing on that score sheet for a judge that says, is this a live singing performance? Is this a dance number? Is this funny enough? There's subcategories. Those subcategories are you utilizing your stage? Is it original? Like making sure you are doing you to the best you. That's what's so important as far as that. There's no rhyme or reason of what you should do and what you shouldn't, or this is to this or this is to that. It's really owning the fact that the moment you're on that stage, you're being scored on what you're bringing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's so interesting. So Miss Arizona that went on to be Miss USA, Avonda K. Van Dyke has been the only one who used ventriloquism in her talent. And I love that. And I didn't realize that originality was such an important piece of that kind of subcategory. Oh, that makes a lot of sense now.
Absolutely. No, originality is very... No, and this is not to sound, for lack of a better term, shady on anyone. However, if you're doing it at a bar, don't do it as a talent. Like that, those are the biggest things though too, is you want to make sure and you want to exaggerate your performance. You want to give it production. So make sure you're putting your best foot forward with that.
Okay.
Wow, that seems so intense to be able to move from like the interview stage to the performance, and mentally how do you move from one to the other? And sometimes I'm assuming that it's within a few minutes to go from one category to the other. Mentally, how do you do that?
Caffeine. Caffeine and vodka. No, I'm kidding. So it is, you have no time to think about anything else but the next thing. The best advice I can give on that, I think this is something that it took me 4 attempts to win Miss Arizona, and you have to come to the realization is when a category is there and it is completed, it's dead. Don't go back to it. Focus on the next one. So it's almost like, which going into the next category, which is evening gown and onstage question, that's a category to where it's always been my detriment has been evening gown. However, we'll get to that. However, you have to be able to flip gears very fast to that to be able to answer a question and be approachable. So if it's okay with you, Mr. Shore, I'll jump into that next category.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So evening gown, that is going to be your category to where you need to embody the system or embody the beautiful version of yourself. You spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this gown, and that 9 times out of 10, you you need to, I'm speaking like I do this myself, which I need to take my own advice. You need to own 110% of your femininity and your appreciation for the art of it. You're modeling the garment. So when you model in this category, you need to slow down, breathe, smile, and sell what you're wearing. So that's a big, big thing. However, right when you're done with that, and that host comes to you after you're modeling, hello there, you look lovely this evening. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself? You have to snap out of that. Like, and I think that's advice that I'm taking from this last time is you're still performing in your evening gown. So it may seem like you're just walking, but you need to be selling that performance. You need to be selling that to where that garment that you're wearing. And then when it comes to the onstage question, it is right directly after that. So you need to be able to speak with conviction and go into answering your question and actually answering your question. That's very important.
But it's also important. It's like when you're walking that runway, to walk, not run, to take your time so that way people get to see you and all the effort that you've put in to get there.
Oh, absolutely. No, I swear you're speaking directly to me. That was the first time in my life I was a Nike track star on that national stage running through it. However, that's my category to where it is hard for me to be vulnerable in that aspect. I know I do a lot of comedy, and it may almost at times seem self-deprecating to some. However, that's just not what I find as the most easiest category to do. I always am so envious and so appreciative of those that are successful in this category, because you truly feel the emotion of their modeling. And that's something that I've always respected, is that category.
So talk to us about the gowns. I mean, do you just go get off the rack?
You can. However, a queen of my stature and my shoulder width doesn't get really shot off the rack, if you will. You have a lot of individuals who are very talented with sewing in the state of Arizona, as well as globally, nationally, however you look at it. So there's a lot of members in our community. I actually have Wes. He's from the Sewing Bear. That's where I don't live in my car, everyone, just so you know. I do have a fitting I have to do today. So he is actually doing my step down gown for me. So that's when you go there and you get all of your measurements and everything based off of what your body type is, what your padding is like, if you shape, if you don't, if you have a larger shape. I'm always going to recommend to have somebody making something for you instead of off the rack. However, I have seen some individuals in pageants that look breathtaking in something off the rack that they've had beaded and or stoned. So there's really no right or wrong to it. However, if you know your body shape is not something off the rack, that category is going to read very off the rack if you're on that runway doing that.
Okay. So then you literally go from that modeling aspect to then suddenly an onstage question?
Yes. And it's instant.
What type of questions?
Well, it depends. I mean, I've had my biggest, I love this category. I've taken it in everything I've ever done. And that's the one I've taken consistently.
Wow.
I think that it's difficult, but if you're speaking with conviction and you're speaking from heart, there's no wrong answer if you're actually answering the question. So my biggest tip in this category is know who you are and know who you are both in and out of drag. Because a lot of times it is, and there's nothing wrong with drag being a persona for somebody else who's really, I have a lot of close individuals to me who are extremely introverted, but then in drag, they're extremely extroverted.
Right.
Mine's a mesh of the two. So it's an easier category for me. However, I can see how that would be more difficult for somebody that it's not. The questions, a lot of times there could be a two-part question. I'm just looking ahead of me right now, and there's a cobblestone car wash. So I'm going to use it for instance. Have you ever had your car washed at Cobblestone, and what makes you like Cobblestone? So you make sure you're answering, yes, I have, and I like the air freshener. You have to make sure you're answering both. You have to make sure you're answering. And to be fair, I love the whites. So you you have to be able.
There's no crown at the end of this. I just want you to know at the end of this that we
Yes.
don't give you a crown. So
It's so unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. But I was just thinking, looking over there, just that category, and I love when I'm walking off stage and they're like, "You did such a good job," or somebody asks me like a week later, "What was the what answered? How did you answer that?"
Yeah.
I do not remember one of them.
Wow.
I don't. I genuinely could not tell you what I said. So
well, it's so spontaneous where it's like you have a question now. So wow, talk about pressure.
yeah, but diamonds are built under pressure. So I mean, you have
Oh, I like that.
That is very well said.
And you don't. You can't say as Miss Arizona or Miss America, if you will, if you're out and about, and somebody's asking you a question about how you would handle something, you can't let me take a moment and get back to you. You're a symbol
Right.
you're a symbol of excellence for a reason. This category is very important. Are you able to talk? So if you're not, maybe this isn't for you.
Mhm.
So that's where that category is very important to me as well, because anybody will, at the end of the day, a crown is a crown. It's a piece of jewelry. However, your reign and the legacy you leave behind is what's important. That's what people remember. They're not going to remember how many stones fell out of your crown. They're not going to remember what it looked like. Is it tarnished? Is it this or is it that? They're going to remember what you did for those individuals, and that's truly what it is.
Okay.
So how did you start drag?
Well, I always, I always say this as a child, I'm a big prankster. Something I love doing. I love scaring people. I love jumping around, like jumping behind my partner all the time, or just standing there and just like, just to scare someone. I just love that. So I know it's hateful, but as a child, I liked making fake bruises and cuts like on my face to make it look like I was injured, to really get somebody like. So I was always infatuated with makeup growing up. That was like the first thing I wanted to do as a child, was I wanted to be a special effects makeup artist. And now I am, because if you can cover a man, that's special effects. So you have to be thankful for where you started and where you came from. I've always been excited for that. But the first time I ever got into drag was almost 8 years. No, it'd be 8 years this summer. It was for a newcomer competition, and it was in the middle of summer. I remember that, but if you can survive starting drag or even doing drag in the summertime in Arizona, I mean, hey, more power to you. I didn't get dehydrated, which is a blessing. However, it was an escape. It was something that was fun. It was something that was different. And it was also, we live in the world of RuPaul's Drag Race, but it is a completely different thing than just applying makeup on in the privacy of your own home and actually performing. That's where that really brought everything full circle for me. So when I first started, it was that newcomer competition, and everything else just kind of flew from there. I did something that was a little bit different. I met Espressa Grande. I don't know if you know who Espressa Grande is or not. However, we met at that same competition that night. So she won, I didn't. And she'll love to tell you that. She's beaten me at every single thing we've both done. So that's
how nice of her.
That's just the story of my life, is losing to Espressa. She's got it. However, no, she's an amazing person. However, she helped me a lot in the very beginning because she was another funny girl. Like we did spoken word and mixes and things like that. And it was always helpful to see the facial expressions and everything behind that. So that's really where I learned it was okay for me to commit to something. If it's something that's in a mix or something in a performance, that's when my drag elevated. She'll love that I said that. Elevated into committing to who you were performing as.
So you had mentioned the formation, or if you want to call it that, from Anthony to Fran, and
Mhm.
you've hit on some of the things that help get you there. What do you think is was a motivator that really pushed you that way? And was it, an easy transition, or did you have a lot of difficulties in making it? And I shouldn't say making it like it's a, a over and done thing, but because you do pageants, you
Mhm.
switch back and forth. You go back to Anthony, and you become Fran, and you go back to Anthony and you become Fran. But inside of you, the Anthony transformation to Fran, that's what I
Mhm.
want to hear about. The inside.
I am the same. I'm the same idiot. Yes, but
I love it. Yes.
I am the same idiot both in and out of drag, and I think that's something that's just helped me so much, and that's even my drag mother, Maya Mckenzie, is same in and out of drag, and
That's great.
it's the same personality. So you build those relationships, you build those bonds, and I'm so thankful for that because it's okay to be you. Like now,
That's
listen, I'm
great.
not gonna walk into the Ross over here and start doing a number and collecting dollar bills from everybody. However, if a song was on, I would have no problem doing it. I think that's where
Yes.
that question, and I respect those where they aren't like that at all. However, that it's always been one of the things that has separated me. Is it doesn't matter if I'm running into somebody at the Cobblestone or over at Fry's or Buffalo Wild Wings. You just I'm the same person. I'm the same individual. I just look a lot prettier. I think that's just it.
Nice. So that's wonderful to incorporate both in one. That's so I've met some people who when they're in drag, they're totally different, and it's almost like the other person is no longer existing. It's wonderful that you live them both. That's wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I'm listen, Dr. Webb, I'm not gonna wear heels when I grocery shop. My feet hurt. Like that. There's just I don't. There's nothing wrong with that. I just am I'm a very rough individual, to where even if I had my nails done, I would be breaking all of them. I'd lose them each number. Like, so that's what I'm saying is that there's those things are a little different, to where it's like, okay, you got to take that a little bit more gingerly, or you need to show a little bit more femininity in the drag that I do, and that's yeah, that's just pretty much it for
Nice.
me.
Okay, so you've done your onstage question.
Yes.
What happens next?
So we had interview, we had talent, we had onstage question. Now you go to backstage and you cry. And you no, that then is a lot of people's favorite category, which is crowning. So all contestants will come out then, and they will give your category awards. So who placed an interview, who was first in interview, who was first in on stage.
Oh, so they tell you each
question.
category and okay.
Mhm. However, if it is a clean sweep, as they refer to it in the pageant biz, they will not go over awards, because then it's going to be clearly obvious who your winner is. However, there have been several, for instances, where contestants have not gotten any category awards and have still won.
Huh?
So that can be really deceiving, because you have to think, if you're
Right.
second in every category, you're consistent. Let everybody else do this.
Oh, but everybody else goes up and down. So okay.
And that one was for you, Diva. So when you watch this, Diva, that was you. You have to be consistent. Don't get in your head about it. You can't get in your head about it. Now, however, when I won, the only category I didn't take was gown. Shocker. But it was consistent. I was very consistent throughout that. I just went like this with gown. That was it. So it's the truth. Who do you? Anytime anybody asks, who do you think's going to win? The one who's the most consistent. That's who I think's going to win. They don't have to be the best in everything. That's the beauty in pageantry, is you don't have to be the best in everything. Is it nice when you win and you sweep it all? Absolutely. But you don't have to win that way. Like, don't feel you have to know your strengths, know your weaknesses, be strategic. So I can't tell you how, I can just tell you, I remember seeing Maya's face right here and Savannah's face right here when I was crowned. I don't remember anything after that. I remember I was so nervous after interview, and it was the day before last year. I remember I was so nervous after interview. I was like, gosh, I feel like I did terrible in that interview. And I was on the phone with Maya, my drag mom, and she was like, you're fine, let it go. The category's dead, da, da, da. And I was like, okay, yes, I know. I never let it go. But when they announced personal interview award and I received that, I was shocked. That's when I started forgetting, because I was like, gosh, that's my worst interview. That had to be one of my worst. But it was a good thing I didn't really remember, because that's how you know you're talking genuine, when it's not scripted. So just working on that was, yeah, definitely. I look back at that crowning video all the time, and I'm just like, you can see me do this, like check my pulse, because I'm like, this is not real right now. Oh my God, I think I won. I'm like, I think I won. I think I won. I think I won. Oh my God, I did. That was it.
So with the evening gown, which I know is not your favorite category, where does the inspiration for the look come from?
I think a lot of your inspiration is going to come from what you want to achieve. I like more of the classic silhouette. I'm very big on cleavage. I love cleavage. And a gown for me, I think that's something that just really sets me apart. It's painful to do. However, I just like that. That's just a me thing. And it's honestly going to be what do you find appealing? What do you feel sexy and confident in? What are you going to be able to sell? I think that's the most important, is you don't want to wear something just because somebody said that would look pretty on you. Are you going to be able to sell it? You know? So I think a lot of times we get a lot of inspiration from celebrities. I know the Met Gala is a big one. A lot of individuals do a lot of presentation looks and things like that on that. And you have to find out what's going to work for you. And a lot of it is trial and error. Like, don't be afraid to fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. I think that's the biggest thing is you're learning from it. You can learn from it, or you can keep doing the same mistake over and over again.
Right.
So that sounds like a lot of dresses. I mean, so do you always have, for each pageant, a brand new gown?
You don't have to. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So like if it's something that scored you well, or you notice you're gradually going up in it, like my silver gown I wore for the last two years competing. So it was scoring well. Why would I change that? Like, I already know this is a category I don't like. We got those critiques. Let's just do this. Let's do this. Let's take that off. Let's make that, and change the hair. Like I always change the hair. That's a me thing. I only wear the gown hair one time, and then I'm done with it. I'll wear it for like a show or something. I don't just throw it away, or I'll give it back to Savannah for a restyle. She loves when I do that, when I trash it. However, that's a me thing. I only like wearing that for that one thing, and then I'll wear it for like a show or something after that. But that's something that I change. The gown for the next time that I'm competing, that I'm working on now, it's different. It's different for me. It's different for me in a sense. I don't usually do colors. Like, I like very metal tones and things like that, just like the classics. So it's different for me to really like a color. So that's a little outside of my element. So I'm excited about that. However, there's nothing wrong with if you would like to wear yellow or mixed. You just have to think, if you're putting it out there, if you're wearing 50 shades of gray, it may look a little drab. Just take it for the grain of salt, and surround yourselves with individuals that are not going to tell you yes on everything.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
So when you started in pageants, did you win your first pageant?
No, I did not. My first pageant I was competing for Phoenix Pride, and I competed for Miss C7 at that time, and I lost that one. And then I went directly over to the Rock after that for Miss Rock, and I lost that one. And then I went to Stacy's, and I won that one. So I was like, yes, finally, I got my ticket to Pride. Like, when I started drag, I went into pageants very, very quick. So I always loved it. It challenges you to do something different, and I love that aspect of it. And I went to Phoenix Pride. That was the first time. It was the first pageant that I did, and that was in 2018. And that's where I met Maya. And I remember I was so new in drag, and was so nervous. I'm like, oh, she's sitting right over there. I kept going back over to the. I was like so nervous, and I'm just like, oh God, okay, all right. And I kept going and getting water, and finally she comes over to the water, and she's like, "You gonna save any water for anyone else?" And I just started laughing, and it was instant from that. So I was first alternate, believe it or not, for Phoenix Pride, my first time. I was first alternate, and Maya won. So it was so funny afterwards. A lot of times people would go, aren't you supposed to hate each other? It was like afterwards when we were still talking, aren't you supposed to hate each other? Like, you lost to her. And I was like, no, not at all. Like, I won. I won her, if you will. So like that was what was so important to me from that. And then it opened up my eyes to the America system. I was asked to be a dresser for one of the contestants the following year, and seeing that legacy, that sisterhood, that impactfulness, that stage at Tempe Center, the rush, the anxiety, the stress, the quickness, everything of that, I was like, oh, I got to be here. I got to do it. So, and then it was boom, boom, boom. I was Miss Gay Phoenix the next year. Then I was fourth alternate. I was fourth alternate at Miss Arizona, and then the following year I was third alternate. Then the third year I was second alternate, and then my fourth year I won. So I always went up and up and up and up and up. That's what's important too. Just because you don't win doesn't mean you're not a winner. Like, focus on those things that you can change to make yourself better.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, and hearing you talk about that camaraderie, that sisterhood in the pageants, that's one of the things I really admire when I look at that, and seeing people that overcome adversity. And really, it's through the help of that community of a variety of past winners, of just sharing that across generations. That's one of the things I love, that I wish I think in some ways the larger gay community would take from that, is just that communication between all these different folks.
And that's the one thing I love about that as well, is we refer to it as previous Miss Arizonas. They're forever. Like, you're a forever Miss Arizona end your year. And one thing I love about that is a Miss Arizona is always a Miss Arizona. So I've noticed, and it's so funny, you notice it after you win, is being in shows with others that have had this opportunity. You hear that forever Miss Arizona this year, forever Miss Arizona this year. This makes you proud, makes you very, very proud of yourselves and proud of them. Because I'm telling you, after you win and you go through your trials and tribulations and your stresses, and making sure you are doing everything to the best you during your reign, you really have a respect for those before you. And you really, you do. And you really are like, wow. Janae, for instance, was Miss Arizona last year in Tucson. That is something I'm so thankful for, is her sisterhood and what she's helped me for this last year. She's been so present and so helpful with any questions that I've had. But those are the things that live on forever, not just a reign. That relationship will always be there. That's something that I'm very, very thankful for.
Again, that sense of community is just amazing. And that it's developed. And that's one of the things that even in social media posts, that is very prevalent, of this awareness of each other, this admiration for each other, which I think is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it is. It genuinely is. And it's also a reflection on the promoter, Daniel Ekstrom. He's been the promoter for Miss Arizona since Christ was a cowboy. However, he is so respectful and such an amazing individual that truly does help motivate to keep this legacy alive. So and promoters of pageants are not given enough credit. We have our moment, we have our glory, but what about those that gave us the platform for where we are? And I feel like that's such a big focus as well, as it takes a lot of grits and a lot of guts for a promoter to get behind you. And his support this last year, and I know I've done things to press him. However, his support, he's always been in my corner. I always wanted to be one of Daniel's girls at nationals, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's something that promoters do not get enough credit for that.
Yeah, I never even thought of that just that tenacity to continue moving forward with the pageant.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And it's literal. You'll win Arizona, and then a week later, what's your step down going to be like? Have you thought about that? No. Like, but I started doing it from the moment I won. And I'm so thankful for the 14 contestants that are competing on June 30th, because you can just see the admiration, the respect, the love in these contestants. You can really see how they've come together.
Mm-hmm.
I've made them do things together, like even their photo promos all the same day, so they'll cross paths. So you can actually feel comfortable when you're all competing against each other. Nobody's going to know what it's like, what you're going through, and other than those 13 individuals that are next to you that day.
Right.
So it's very important to you to actually have that, because those are the relationships that you remember, and those are the ones that you continue to build off of.
Hmm.
So with a step down, what does that involve?
It's basically your birthday party. I know it is. It's my birthday party. When we crown a new member of the legacy, and that's going to be the next Miss Arizona. So you celebrate, your step down is celebrating you, and it's also the pageant of the next. So it's a very, it's sad when you think about it. It kind of is, but it doesn't always have to be. A lot of people have asked me recently, are you sad about it? Of course I'm sad about it, but I'm happy about it, because I'm really happy for the next one to really dive deep into it and really continue building off of everything that's been built. And I feel the reason why I am not so sad or upset or depressed, if you will. A lot of people have asked me, are you depressed yet? No. But should I be depressed, Dr. Bev? Should I?
No, not at all.
While I have you on the line, Dr. Bev, should I be depressed? But it's the biggest thing that I've realized why I'm content with everything I did. And I think sometimes we wish, oh, I should have done that, or I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I should have done this. I did everything I wanted to do.
Great.
And the next one should want more. We can only grow if you didn't want more, we can't grow.
So what actually takes place during the step down? Visualizing
it. When you walk in, of course you have your tickets, box office, whatever, and then you find your seats, and then it will open up with opening production, which is like my opening production, and then it'll be the parade of contestants. Now, contestants will then come out, and it's their introduction, and it's their moment for you to, it's hello, welcome. And then I'm doing things different. They always, every year, the Forevers are always acknowledged. Hi, yes, this is so-and-so, and they walk, and they have their little moment.
All right.
The Forevers are actually competing against each other this year. So the Forevers are coming out in their creative presentation costume. Wow. And at the end of the night, that Forever will be awarded, whoever the judges feel, that Forever will be awarded Miss Forever presentation. Because I feel sometimes we forget so much about what they've done and how they're still visible. They don't get their moment. I want everybody to have their moment. I know it's my night. I don't need to have a 25-minute introduction or whatever. I've already done that all year. It's about them, everyone in the past, and let's welcome the new. So that's where, then it will go directly into pageant, and then I'll have my last number. And then Desi Loveblake will be in town, Miss Gay America. She'll be present for that. She'll do a song, and then I will do my final song, and we'll crown the next Miss Gay Arizona America.
That sounds so exciting.
Yeah. It's like,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Right. So no, wow. That sounds
well, and I also like when you're talking, it's not like you're competing against these other, but it's not but it's not this personal competition. I mean, it's like that competitive nature is there, but you're not like, I'm going to try and sabotage or anything else.
No.
I mean, I keep hearing about all this growth and promoting growth people helping you grow, you helping other people grow. I mean, you
Absolutely.
mentioned that you're also helping the other contestants.
I check in on all. I try to do that at least once a week, once every 2 weeks. I check in on all of them. Do you need anything? What's going on with that? I'm not saying that you have to do that. However, I know what it's like to feel like that. So
Mhm.
Wow, and the importance that you put on that by doing that. I mean, the time that you're taking out of your day to do
Mhm.
that, to say here's a hand if you need it.
it's not expected of anyone to do it. However, and I don't do it, and I appreciate that very much. I don't do it for them to like me more. Or I honestly want them to know you're not alone in anything. That's the
Mhm.
biggest thing, because I felt alone before in the past, because that's my own mistake. I just decided not to ask people for help. However, you learn from that. It's just you. I just don't feel you're alone with anything. I'm telling you right now, anything, you know, it's a pageant. When this is going wrong, that's going wrong. This one, that you're in pageant season. That is okay. Like, if everything is handed to you and it's supposed to be easy, you weren't supposed to get it. You do not, and I mean this when I say this, you should know how to lose before you should know how to win. And that is so important.
Interesting.
In pageantry, if you are a graceful loser, you are happy for whoever won, because you want them to be happy for you when it's your time. And
Mhm.
that's what's very important with that.
And again, there's that focus on growth.
Mhm.
So what is next for Franzia? So you've got to step down, and then what happens?
TBD.
Ah.
Now, I, I, I'm not saying if. This is a win. I will continue going to be a Miss Gay America. I can promise you that. It's just going to be when things align well. My biggest thing is I get very laser focused when I get into pageant mode, so nothing
Mhm.
breaks my focus. But right
Mhm.
now is one. I had a dream to be Miss Gay Arizona. I have a dream to be. Notice I said had there. See, I've already accepted it. You would call that accepting, right, Doctor? And you, I had a dream to be Miss Gay Arizona. I have a dream to be Miss Gay America. But right now, my duties are fulfilling that dream for someone else. So the minute that's done, then we'll focus on the next one.
Wow.
So because I know me, I would go right into it and just be like, okay, yeah, thank you, bye. No, I can't do that. I get very, very focused on it. So the minute that's done, then definitely, I already have my eyes on a preliminary that's closer to Arizona. That's going to be happening in August. So we can fill in the blanks with that. And if everything pans out accordingly, then definitely that'll be my next stop.
Very cool. So I do want to ask about your name, your first name and your last name, because it sounds like there's family lineage in that last name.
Oh, there definitely is.
And how did you get to the first name?
Well, my first name is as transparent as it is. My brother always called me Fran because of Francis from Pee Wee's Big Adventure growing up. So it was always like a, yeah, I know. It was always like a fat joke. And then you have, and I loved it though. I was like, okay, I'm here for it. So it was always Fran, Fran, Fran. And then one night we were drinking boxed wine and it was Franzia, and they're like, hey, that would be a good name for you. I never liked boxed wine. I don't like wine. That's the funny thing. I do not like wine at all. I don't care if somebody goes, oh, the red, it's great, plum notes. No, I don't like it. I no, but it's cheap and it gets the job done. So I loved it. That's really what where that transpired from. And then Mckenzie, I became a Mckenzie shortly after uh, Phoenix Pride in 2018. Maya Mckenzie is my drag mother. She is Miss Gay Arizona America to Forever Miss Gay Arizona America 2007. And 7 years after, wait, 8 years, yes. 8 years after that was Nevaeh Mckenzie, my sister, was Miss Gay Arizona America 2015. And then I am 2024 or 2023, which is so funny because it's 8 years between Maya and Nevaeh, and then 8 years between Nevaeh and me. So I can remember it that way. It's like, oh, eight, eight, eight. So it's definitely something I respect. I respect that lineage and that last name. I have also sisters that do great things that are also Mackenzies and are definitely embraced and loved. Lesbian Mckenzie, she is consistently there for me with anything that I need, and it's definitely rewarding, and it's a prize all in itself. So it's something I do treasure and I do take very seriously.
So you mentioned, so the pageant is June 30th.
Yes, at Tempe Center of the Arts, June 30th. It's going to be gorgeous. It's at Tempe Center of the Arts. There's still, we're a little over halfway sold, I believe, right now, which is terrific for Tempe Center. That's like 500 seats. So definitely hop on that. June 30th starts at 5 p.m. It is an evening at the Chocolate Factory, Pure Imagination, Mesquite, Arizona, America, 2024. So the presentations are going to be stellar. I'm so excited about that for the contestants and the forevers, because have fun.
Indeed, what a fun theme.
Yes. It was one of my favorite movies growing up as a child. Every time I was homesick, that movie was always on. I always wanted to watch that movie, and there was nothing better that I could possibly think of than starting my reign off with my preliminaries, giving each one who qualified a golden ticket. So it's been something that's gone on all year. So I'm really excited about that. I'm excited for the grand finale, the grand finale, and finishing it up.
So so after June 30th, where can people see you perform?
I am not just at one venue. I'm a little bit of all over everywhere. I love it that way because I get to meet more individuals. By following me on Instagram or Facebook, Franzia Mckenzie is going to be Facebook, or Instagram will be the one and only Franzia. This Saturday, I'm in Tucson. Next weekend, I'm at Copper Blues Live with Espresso in Scottsdale. I'm a little bit everywhere. So it's really exciting that way. However, I don't want to just say I'm just in one spot, because that wouldn't be like a boxed wine. You can find that anywhere. So.
Wow. So what recommendations would you give to some, I mean, it's like RuPaul's Drag Race has really, I think, changed the face of drag.
Okay.
What advice would you give someone who has started watching that show, seeing performers, and wants to get on stage and try it?
I feel RuPaul's Drag Race, and I'm extremely respectful of everything that show has done for so many entertainers and continues to do. I would love to be on there one day, of course. Who wouldn't? If they say they wouldn't, that just makes no sense. But when you're just starting, don't be afraid to remember where you came from. And I think that's so hard for a lot of times, is even when I met my partner who I'm with now, oh, you do drag? Who do you like from Drag Race? The first thing I said to him, there's a lot more to this than there's just Drag Race on your TV. And it starts with your community, and it starts with you. So if you are starting, don't try to be somebody that you've seen on TV. They already exist. Go out to your community, trial and error, stay consistent. If it's ugly today and it's ugly tomorrow, the pretty will come. So stay consistent, do you to the best you, and just make sure that you're not just blindsided by that's the only way to make it somewhere, the only way to be accepted. There's a community in every one of our places we call home, and really embodying that and making sure you're present and respecting the art form on the home front is what's so important. And it's going to only make you successful in the future when you do get that moment on there.
Wow, nice.
You know, I mean, that don't forget where you came from. I mean, that is the perfect message for June, which is Pride Month. I mean, we're only here standing on the shoulders of so many other people, some of whom we know, some of whom we don't know.
And that's the one thing too I love about your channel, and I love what you do, is because you learn so much. It was even the last one, I remember you saying that the trans pride flag was actually made in Arizona. I had no idea about that. And I'm sure a lot of people, we should be so proud of that. We complain about the heat, but look at the fire that we brought to the community. So it's just, it's so important. And if you feel you don't need to educate yourself, we consistently need to educate ourselves, because there's a lot more than looking fierce. Yes, honey, mama, God, yes, this work girl, than just being you. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. So Doc Bev, do you have anything in kind of as we start to wind down?
I sure do. I had a few things that I was wanting to say. Um, you mentioned the number eight. In Japanese, the letter eight, the number eight, it's considered a lucky number, like an opening and a new beginning. That was one thing that struck me when you were talking about 8 years here, 8 years there. Very profound in Japanese, that letter eight. And also the sisterhood. You all nailed it. You have nailed what sisterhood really, truly means. It means being happy for the other person's win, being supportive of the other person, being there with them. Just, I don't have to explain it to you. You guys nailed it. I love it. Thank you.
I appreciate that so much, Dr. Bev. Thank you. And
Yes.
it definitely, you can tell when it's not something you're just saying, and it's something you really do feel.
And
so I appreciate that.
yeah, I can feel it 100% coming from you. The
Yeah.
sisterhood is there. All right. A round
And
of applause to you.
yeah, no,
Applaud you.
thank you so much. I mean, I know you've got a busy day. I bet you're heading off for fittings, getting ready for that June 30th.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? My mother said it the best. Said if you're not tired by the end of your reign, then you did not reign. I was exhausted
Woo.
I was exhausted a month ago, if you were wondering. So, no, I'm so thankful. I appreciate you both so much. Happy Pride. Thank you for this opportunity. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you soon.
Very good.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a great
you.
day, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I learned so much.
I know. He is an amazing human being, and his heart speaks it all. It speaks it all.
Completely agree. That
When-
was, yeah. I mean,
when
what a great spokesperson for,
Right.
yeah.
When he first mentioned sisterhood, my thoughts reverted back to, what would he know about sisterhood? He nailed it. Sisterhood is there. It does not have to do with being a female or whatever. It's a energy.
Right.
That sisterhood is an energy, and they nailed it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I mean,
it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful.
That sense of community. That's what it's all about. And
Mhm.
that's, I mean, a great message for Pride, as
Yeah.
well as every other day of the year, not just
Right.
but just that consistency.
Right.
Just like Franzia said, it's all about that consistency across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I am so glad that we no longer have the Pride Parade in June.
oh my God, indeed.
But we have
So
a lot of other activities, so
there
it's
are,
good, but we're not out there in the heat. So,
right.
and having have Francina on is just perfect for Pride Month. Perfect.
Exactly. All right. Well, Doc Bev, I will see you soon. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, and always a pleasure being with you, Marshall. Always.
Indeed, I completely agree with that. So see you all next time on Arizona LGBTQ plus Storytime Community History.
Thank you. Bye-bye.